Hi friends and welcome to the channel. My name is Ryan Abair and this is where I share my insights. And today we're talking about don't have time? Then kill it. That's right, we're going to be talking about killing time, dealing with the sensation of lack. So if you're one of these people that doesn't have any time and you feel strained, I'm going to teach you how to kill it. Stick around. The inspiration for this video came in a gathering last night with some dear friends, and I was asking them if they enjoyed reading. I'm an avid reader, and I just enjoy that as my pastime. And when I ask that question to people, normally I get an answer of, I enjoy reading, but I don't have time. And I got to thinking about this notion of having no time. And then I got to thinking about lack in general. So what we're going to do today is learn how to kill time. You've heard that phrase, I'm just killing time. And killing time is really living without there being a sense of time altogether. That's the real lack of time, when you lose track of it, when it is no longer an issue. And the same kind of thinking of killing time, losing track of time, is what I'm talking about in terms of losing track of lack altogether. And how do we live in that state of killing, basically, a concept? I'd like for you to We're going to do a little thought experiment about this thing that we call lack. I know that your lack of time feels very real, and it is real. It's very real to you. Likewise, lack of money is a very real thing. Lack of resources, lack of skill, lack of the right people, lack of understanding. These all seem like bothersome entities that stand in our way. And for many individuals on the planet, these are big issues. And it is cited for the reason why we don't do anything. I don't go to the gym because I don't have time. That's usually the way that is framed. So we're going to sit with, just for a second, we're going to sit with the statement, I don't have time. And we're going to talk about how we feel when we say that. And we're going to talk about what that looks like. And we're going to talk about the edges of it, the borders of it, and how that is an abstraction that has been given life, form, and power. So you have to sort of sit and listen carefully to how this unfolds. We believe that the thoughts that we create are entities that have power, that have life, that have personality, that have a causal nature to our reality. And I'd like to argue that absence of time is no more real than time itself. Because if you can lose track of it, it can't be real. In many ways, in the same way we lose track of this feeling of me, it can't be real. So, if you sit for a second with this notion of the lack of time, you have created an entity out of what should essentially be a vacuity or an absence. So if lack of time were really an absence of something, wouldn't it not even bother you? It wouldn't be in your consciousness. But lack of time, to a lot of people, is a real entity, a noun. And nouns are things, and thinks are things. They're not just words, they're images. So the lack of time is an abstraction or a translation of a state of being. So let's take out our paintbrushes and let's paint an image of the lack of time. For a lot of people, the lack of time could be seen as the scary face with clocks with wings and you can't catch them and they're just moving around. So the lack of time is an energy that you've given identity. It's a graven image. We've turned it into a thing and we've given it power. We've let it reign over our lives. It's become our God. This thing called lack of time. Because it feels like an entity with its own teeth, its own eyes, its own will. You see? When you personify your thoughts and you paint your thoughts in words, if you go a little bit further and you put hair on it, teeth, give it a little bite, it starts to attack you. So it's your own shadow, it's your own creation coming back to bite you in the ass. When in fact, the lack of time, the lack of money, the lack of a relationship, the lack of skill is supposed to be a vacuity. Something that is without. No, something truly without. Something truly absence is something that is not called to mind at all. That's killing time. When there is no awareness of it. Now, you just heard a clock ding, and I didn't plan that. I didn't count how many times I can see on my computer it's 9 o'clock. But that didn't come into my consideration as I'm talking. I have no idea how long this is and how many words it contains, or I'm not keeping track of intervals of time. Nor am I keeping track of anything that I consider lack of time. I'm killing it. Right now, I am simply killing time. I'm letting the moment unfold in the present moment. So there's no feeling of absence. So I have put absence away. So if you really want to experience true absence, in the sense that it's not present, you do not call it to mind. And what we do is we turn the money that we don't have into a positive thing that has a negative effect. Positive as in it comes into the foreground from a background. So true absence is behind the veil in something you would call the forgettery. That's when you're killing time. That's when time is no longer something you have or you don't have. When it is not called to mind at all, and you are timeless, moneyless. Like when the lack of money is not brought into the foreground as a thing, as a monster, as an ugly, pimply, hairy, stinky monster. So you've given life to lack. You've given borders to lack. You're given an entity to lack. You keep it in your mind as a monster. Well, that's the nature of form. Form is the appearance of a border. And we know the cosmos has no border. It has what appears to be a border. It has a horizon. And science says that is the observable universe. Well, what's on the other side of the observable universe? The so-called unobservable universe. So it's just more universe. So the border is not as real as we think. So the entity of lack is not as real as you think. You think it into existence. So I don't have time is this harried abstraction. So what is the lack of time? The lack of time could be considered a feeling. The lack of time could be considered a tightness in the body, maybe. The lack of time could be considered an energy that you create. You've given it a name. Whatever you give a name to, whatever you call, whatever you label, you give life to. And you're trying to describe something called without. With and without. These are entities of the mind, creatures, graven images. And we do this very same thing with something we call God. Even an atheist is doing something. They're creating an entity out of atheism. And atheism has all these things in it. All this, it's been given a life. And those people who believe in God normally believe in the kind of God that is the same kind of noun as lack. You know, their God is a noun. It has a personality. It moves around and it has anger and it. So if you think about your feeling of lack, which is basically what it is, it's just simply an abstraction, a funny, like, energy maybe that you feel in your body, and you've slapped the label lack of time on it. Maybe this harried kind of feeling. Oh, that's my lack of time. Clocks flying everywhere, trying to catch them, and that's how you live your life. And so you call that lack of time, right? So we kill time. When we're killing time, we're chilling. We're cool. We're just killing time. And you can live this way. You can live in what's called a pastime. I'm past it. But most of us are full-time graven image makers. We create little images and entities out of, I don't have money. I wonder what I don't have money looks like. Well, I tell you what I don't have money looks like. I've got friends that don't have money. And they look pretty sad to me. That's what, they're just describing sadness. I don't have money is a simple way of saying, I feel sad inside. I feel confused inside. I feel left out inside. I feel detached and separated. Everything is an abstraction. Reality is abstract. That's the thing. And it's glitchy and it's hard to pin down. But if you say, I don't have time, you've pinned down reality as something that is exhaustible. And reality is not exhaustible. It's infinitely replenishable in a continuity of now. And it is neither lacking or is it supplied. It's just it's not present nor is it absent. See, and people often talk about presence. Well, I get what they're talking about, but presence also is a noun. So we got to kind of think, what is presence? I gotta make an image out of presence. And presence is not imagined. Presence is. Just like reality is not imagined. So we often create models of reality, and that's what we're doing when we say, I don't have time. We create a model, an entity, a wooden image, and we put a little fur on it. We put fangs on it. We put teeth on it. And we act out that reality, you see. We act out that image. We embody the image of not having time. And so you see people going around frantically. Oh, I don't have time. Oh, I'm so busy. No time. No time. So it personifies itself as this flittering about like a hummingbird A hummingbird, does a hummingbird not have time? Well, they certainly look like it. And so we embody these images, which are just, it's just fear. It's absolute fear personified in this way that the individual is unaware of, So, why don't you kill time with me? You just killed 15 minutes with yours truly. And I hope that it was good, because then you lost track of time. That's real lack of time, meaning time is not in the equation at all. There is no time. Not in the sense that there's lacking, but there is no time, and there's no noun, time. It doesn't have any borders. Remember, the universe has what appears as a border. The earth has what appears as a border, but there's no line. There's no measurement. It just keeps going. Maybe round and around and around. Who knows? But the universe doesn't move. The universe doesn't age, and neither do you at a fundamental level. Okay? So it's time to kill time. There is no time, but not in the sense of lack, but in not calling it to mind all the time, not letting it rule your life, not creating an image out of it, and worshiping it, essentially. This thing called, I don't have time. Because then that becomes your identity. And you have no identity. We can't identify you in that sense. We have to identify you in a different sense, in the substructure, something that's hard to articulate, but is there in wholeness. So thank you for killing time with me. I hope you enjoyed these insights. And if you don't have time, you have just created a monster out of a thought, and that's it. Time to kill it. My name is Ryan Hebert. Please check out my blog. It's called mymorningmotivator.com, and I appreciate you being here with me today.